chosen one. You didn't arrive here by accident. There is a stirring in your spirit, a quiet awareness that something in your life is shifting. People you once felt aligned with now feel distant, conversations feel forced, and energy once shared now feels heavy. This is not confusion, it is revelation. When God begins to elevate your path, He also begins to clear your surroundings. Not every connection is meant to follow you into your next season, and not every person can carry the weight of your purpose. You begin to notice subtle changes first. The person in your circle, once familiar, once trusted, starts to feel different. Their words may still sound the same, but the energy behind them no longer resonates with your spirit. There is a quiet discomfort, an unspoken tension that lingers even in silence. This is not your imagination. This is discernment sharpening within you. God is opening your eyes to what your heart once overlooked. There was a time when you ignored the signs. You gave the benefit of the doubt, extended grace beyond reason, and convinced yourself that loyalty meant endurance at any cost. But growth changes perception. What once felt normal now feels draining. What once felt like connection now feels like obligation. And deep down, you know this shift is not random. It is divine intervention. The person may not necessarily be openly harmful. In fact, that's what makes this process confusing. They may smile, laugh, and even support you on the surface. But beneath that, there is misalignment. Their presence no longer fuels your growth. Instead, it subtly resists it. You may find that after spending time with them, your energy feels depleted rather than uplifted. Your clarity becomes clouded, your confidence slightly shaken. These are not coincidences. These are spiritual signals. God removes people in layers. First comes the awareness. You begin to see patterns you once ignored, small inconsistencies, backhanded comments, moments of subtle competition. Then comes the emotional distance. You no longer feel the urge to share everything with them. Conversations become shorter, less frequent, less meaningful. And finally, there is the separation. Sometimes gradual, sometimes sudden, but always purposeful. You may question yourself during this process. You may wonder if you are being too sensitive, too distant, or even too harsh. But understand this, when God is removing someone, He will not bring confusion. He will bring confirmation. That uneasy feeling you carry is not doubt. It is clarity trying to break through your attachments. The person often represents a connection that was necessary for a previous version of you. They were part of your learning, your growth, your experiences. But seasons change, and not everyone is assigned to your future. Holding onto them out of habit or history can delay your progress. God is not removing them to punish you. He is removing them to protect you. You may begin to notice that your paths no longer align. Opportunities come to you that they cannot understand. Decisions you make seem strange or unnecessary to them. Your vision expands while their perspective remains the same. This creates a silent divide. It is not about superiority, it is about direction. You are being guided somewhere they are not meant to go. Sometimes, the person will resist this change. They may try to pull you back into old patterns, remind you of who you used to be, or make you feel guilty for evolving. This is not because they are necessarily bad. It is because your growth disrupts their comfort. Your elevation forces them to confront their own stagnation, and not everyone is ready for that reflection. You must understand that not all departures are loud. Some happen quietly, without conflict or confrontation. Conversations fade, invitations stop, and distance naturally forms. This is often how God works. He removes without chaos, replaces without force, and redirects without explanation. Your role is not to chase clarity from them, but to trust the clarity within you. There is also a spiritual weight to this process. The closer you move toward your purpose, the more sensitive you become to energy. What you could once tolerate now feels unbearable. This is not weakness. It is alignment. Your spirit is rejecting what no longer serves your path. The J person may carry energy that conflicts with your calling, and God, in His wisdom, is separating you from that influence. You might feel moments of loneliness during this transition. Letting go, even when necessary, can create an empty space. But that space is sacred. It is where new connections will form, where clarity will deepen, and where your true alignment will strengthen. God cannot fill a space that you refuse to clear. Pay attention to how your life begins to shift once distance is created. You may feel lighter, more focused, more at peace. Opportunities may flow more freely, and decisions may come with greater ease. This is confirmation that the removal was not a loss. It was a release. The J person was never meant to be permanent. They were part of a chapter, not the entire story. And as you step into a new chapter, God ensures that only what aligns with your purpose remains. Holding on to them beyond their season can create unnecessary resistance in your journey. There is also a lesson in acceptance here. Not everyone will understand your growth, and not everyone is meant to. Seeking validation from those who cannot see your vision will only lead to frustration. Your path is unique, and your alignment is personal. Trusting that is part of your evolution. You may also notice that communication with the J person becomes strained. Words are misunderstood, intentions are questioned, and what once felt easy now feels complicated. This is not something you need to fix. It is something you need to recognize. When alignment is lost, connection becomes forced. God often uses discomfort as a tool for redirection. That uneasy feeling you experience is not there to confuse you. It is there to guide you. Ignoring it will only prolong the process. Listening to it will bring clarity and peace. The removal of the J person is not about rejection. It is about realignment. It is about creating space for relationships that support your growth, reflect your values, and align with your purpose. It is about stepping into a version of yourself that no longer settles for connections that drain rather than elevate. As you move forward, you will begin to see why this separation was necessary. Patterns that once seemed normal will reveal their limitations. Conversations that once felt meaningful will show their emptiness. And connections that once felt essential will reveal themselves as temporary. You are not losing anything of value. You are releasing what no longer aligns. And in that release, you are making room for something greater, something deeper, something truly meant for you. The process may not always be comfortable, but it is always intentional. Every shift, every distance, every moment of clarity is part of a divine plan that is unfolding in your life. Trusting that plan requires faith, not in others, but in the guidance you are receiving. And as you continue to walk this path, you will realize that every removal carries a message, every distance carries a purpose, and every ending carries the beginning of something new. Something new that your past version of yourself would not have been able to sustain. And this is where your awareness deepens, chosen one, because you begin to recognize that God is not only removing people, He is refining you. The distance between you and the J person is also a mirror, revealing how much you have changed, how much you have outgrown, and how much you are stepping into your true identity. You start to remember moments you once dismissed, times when your intuition whispered, but you silenced it. Situations where something felt off, but you chose comfort over truth. Now those memories resurface, not to haunt you, but to confirm that what you are feeling now has always been present. The difference is, you are no longer ignoring it. You are no longer negotiating with your inner knowing. This is one of the clearest signs God is removing someone from your life. Your tolerance shifts. What you once accepted, you now question. What you once excused, you now see clearly. It is not that the person suddenly changed. It is that your awareness expanded. And once awareness expands, it cannot contract back to ignorance. There is also a shift in how they respond to you. You may notice subtle resistance when you speak about your goals, your growth, or your vision. Their enthusiasm may feel forced or absent altogether. They may redirect conversations, minimize your progress, or even joke in ways that carry an undertone of discomfort. This is not always intentional, but it is revealing. Not everyone can celebrate a version of you that challenges their perception of who you were. At times, the person may become distant first. They may pull away without explanation, communicate less, or seem uninterested in maintaining the connection. This is another way God orchestrates separation. When you are too compassionate to let go, He will create distance on your behalf. What feels like rejection is often protection in disguise. You may feel the urge to fix things, to reach out, to restore what once felt stable. But pay attention to this urge. Is it coming from alignment or attachment? There is a difference. Alignment brings peace, even in separation. Attachment brings anxiety, even in connection. If your desire to hold onto the person is rooted in fear of losing them, rather than genuine harmony, then you already have your answer. Another sign is the increase of clarity when you are away from them. When you create space, even temporarily, your mind feels clearer, your emotions feel steadier, and your direction feels stronger. It is as if their absence allows you to reconnect with yourself. This is not coincidence. This is confirmation that their presence was clouding your alignment. You also begin to notice that your conversations no longer evolve. They remain centered around the past, outdated patterns, or surface-level topics. Growth requires expansion, and when a connection cannot expand with you, it begins to feel limiting. You may find yourself holding back your thoughts, censoring your ideas, or simplifying your vision just to maintain the connection. This is a sign that the connection is no longer serving your highest self. God will also start placing new perspectives in your path. You may encounter people, content, or experiences that challenge your current environment. These are not random encounters. They are divine contrasts. They show you what aligned connections feel like, what mutual growth looks like, and what support without resistance truly means. And once you experience that, it becomes harder to settle for less. There is also a spiritual fatigue that comes with misaligned connections. It is not always dramatic or obvious, but it is consistent. You feel drained after interactions, unmotivated in their presence, or emotionally heavy without a clear reason. This is your spirit responding to misalignment. Energy does not lie, even when words do. At some point, you will reach a moment of quiet realization. No conflict, no argument, no dramatic ending, just clarity. You will understand that the person is no longer part of your path. And in that moment, you will feel a mix of emotions: relief, sadness, acceptance. This is natural. Letting go of what once mattered is never entirely easy, even when it is necessary. You must also understand that release does not require resentment. You do not need to hate them, blame them, or create a negative narrative to justify your distance. Sometimes, people are simply not meant to continue with you. And that is enough. Peaceful detachment is often more powerful than dramatic endings. There may be moments when the person tries to re-enter your life. A message, a call, a sudden interest in reconnecting. This is where your discernment is tested. Not every return is meant to be accepted. Some returns are simply cycles, trying to repeat. You must ask yourself, has anything truly changed? Or is this familiarity disguised as growth? God does not remove someone just for you to return to the same dynamic, unchanged. If the lesson has been learned, the cycle should not repeat. Holding on to that truth will protect your progress. You will also begin to notice how your self-worth evolves during this process. Letting go of misaligned connections reinforces your value. It teaches you that you are not meant to stay where you are not supported, understood, or aligned. It strengthens your boundaries and deepens your respect for your own energy. The J person may not understand your distance. They may question it, misinterpret it, or even take it personally. But their understanding is not your responsibility. Your responsibility is to honor your alignment. Not everyone will agree with your growth, and that is okay. There is also a deeper layer to this. Spiritual elevation requires separation. As you move closer to your purpose, your environment must reflect that shift. People who once fit into your life may no longer resonate with the direction you are heading. This is not loss, this is preparation. You may begin to feel a stronger connection to yourself during this time. Your intuition becomes clearer, your decisions become more confident, and your sense of direction becomes stronger. This is what happens when external noise is reduced. Your inner voice becomes louder. There is also a sense of peace that slowly replaces the discomfort. At first, the distance may feel strange, unfamiliar, even unsettling. But over time, that space becomes comforting. You realize that peace is not found in maintaining every connection. It is found in maintaining the right ones. God's removal process is rarely about the other person alone. It is about you. It is about your readiness to step into a new level of awareness, responsibility, and purpose. The J person was part of your journey, but they are not the destination. As you continue forward, you will see how everything begins to align more effortlessly. Decisions become clearer, opportunities feel more natural, and your path feels more defined. This is what happens when you are no longer carrying connections that conflict with your direction. There is also a lesson in trust here. Trusting that what is leaving is meant to leave. Trusting that what is meant for you will remain. And trusting that God's plan is not based on your comfort, but on your growth. You may reflect on the connection and recognize both its value and its limitations. It taught you something, showed you something, and helped shape a version of you that was necessary at the time. But growth requires movement, and movement requires release. The J person may continue on their own path, separate from yours. And that is okay. Not every journey is meant to be shared indefinitely. Some paths cross briefly, leave an impact, and then diverge. What matters now is your awareness, your ability to recognize when something no longer aligns, your willingness to let go without forcing closure, and your courage to move forward without looking back for validation. You are not being isolated. You are being refined. You are not losing connection. You are gaining clarity. And you are not walking away from something valuable. You are walking towards something greater. And as this process continues, you will begin to notice even deeper shifts within yourself. Your standards will rise, your boundaries will strengthen, and your sense of self will become more grounded. You will no longer seek connection out of habit, but out of alignment. You will no longer tolerate what drains you, simply because it is familiar. The removal of the J person is not the end of your story. It is the clearing of space for a new chapter that requires a different environment, a different energy, and a different level of awareness. And whether you fully understand it now or not, everything that is happening is guiding you exactly where you are meant to be. Exactly where you are meant to be, even if the path there feels uncertain in this moment. Because, chosen one, what you are experiencing now is not just separation, it is transformation in motion. You are being shaped by what you release, not just by what you receive. And every time you choose alignment over attachment, you step deeper into the truth of who you are becoming. There will come a moment when you no longer feel the urge to revisit what was. No more second guessing, no more wondering, what if? No more emotional pull toward what God has already removed. That moment is powerful, because it marks the completion of a cycle. It shows that you have not only accepted the change, you have embodied it. You will begin to see the person without emotional weight, not with anger, not with longing, but with understanding. You will recognize their role in your life without needing their presence in your life. And that is growth in its purest form, when memory no longer controls your direction. By then, your focus will have shifted completely. Your energy will no longer be invested in maintaining what no longer aligns, but in building what truly resonates. Your vision will feel clearer, your steps more intentional, and your peace more consistent. This is what happens when your environment matches your evolution. You will also notice how your relationships begin to change. The people who enter your life now will feel different. There will be less confusion, less tension, less effort required to maintain connection. Conversations will flow with depth and understanding. Support will feel genuine, not forced. And most importantly, you will feel seen, not just for who you were, but for who you are becoming. This is the replacement that often goes unspoken. God does not just remove, He restores. He aligns you with connections that reflect your growth, your values, and your purpose. But these connections require space, and that space can only be created through release. There is also a new level of responsibility that comes with this awareness. You can no longer ignore red flags, suppress your intuition, or settle for misalignment. What you now know demands that you move differently. It requires that you protect your energy, honor your boundaries, and trust your discernment without hesitation. And yes, there may still be moments of reflection, times when you think about the past, about what was shared, about what ended. But those moments will no longer weaken you. They will remind you of how far you have come, how much you have learned, and why the separation was necessary. You will understand that not every connection is meant to last forever, but every connection serves a purpose. The person served theirs. They were part of your becoming, not your being. And once that purpose was fulfilled, their presence became optional, not essential. This is where your power lies now, in discernment, in acceptance, and in trust. Trust that what left had to leave. Trust that what remains is meant to stay, and trust that what is coming will align with everything you have grown into. Because, chosen one, when God removes someone from your circle, it is never random. It is precise, intentional, and necessary. It is not about taking something from you. It is about making sure nothing stands in the way of what is already meant for you.